The warning ignored. The ancient beacon drifted silently through the void, its surface etched with symbols in 100 different languages. Some were recognizable to the crew of the Confederation survey vessel Distant Horizon, but many remained indecipherable despite their advanced translation systems. The message, however, was always the same. Danger. Do Nenotenter. Sleeping giants. Captain Zara Vex floated near the viewport, her scaled skin reflecting the starlight as she studied the mysterious object. In 20 cycles of service to the Galactic Confederation, she'd never encountered anything like this. "How old would you estimate it to be, Science Officer?" she asked, not taking her eyes off the beacon. Science Officer Trill adjusted his sensor equipment. His 4 eyes blinked in sequence as he processed the readings. "Approximately 5,000 standard cycles, Captain. Primitive technology by our standards, but remarkably well preserved." Communication Specialist Neela's antennae twitched with excitement. "Captain, this isn't an isolated occurrence. We're detecting similar beacons forming a perimeter around this entire sector. Hundreds of them." Captain Vex frowned. Warning beacons were common enough in space. They marked everything from radiation hazards to sacred burial grounds, but a boundary this extensive was unprecedented. "Any information about this region in the Confederation archives?" she asked. Neela's fingers danced across her console. "Nothing specific, Captain. This sector has been marked as unexplored in all official star charts. It's as if someone deliberately avoided it." The survey vessel Distant Horizon had only discovered the boundary by accident. They'd been mapping unusual gravitational anomalies when their sensors detected the first beacon. What had started as a routine scientific mission was quickly becoming something much more intriguing. "Establish communication with Confederation Command," Vex ordered. "They'll want to know about this immediately." Within hours, High Commander Drax's holographic form shimmered into existence on the bridge. His crystalline body structure caught the light, sending prismatic reflections across the command center. "Captain Vex, report your findings," he said, his voice resonating from multiple points in his crystalline form. Zara straightened. "High Commander, we've discovered what appears to be a quarantine zone. Ancient warning beacons surround a region containing approximately 70 star systems. The warnings are explicit about not disturbing what's inside. Any indication of what these sleeping giants might be?" "No, sir. We'd need to cross the boundary to investigate further." The Tekken ambassador, who stood beside High Commander Drax, stepped forward. The gelatinous diplomat's body pulsed with concerned colors. "I must advise against this action. Many species have legends about regions of space that must not be disturbed. If these warnings have survived for 5 millennia, there must be a reason." High Commander Drax's crystalline form vibrated with dismissal. "Superstitions and ghost stories, Ambassador. The Confederation's mandate is to explore and catalog all regions under our jurisdiction." He turned back to Zara. "Captain Vex, you are authorized to proceed with caution. Cross the boundary and investigate, but maintain alert status." "Yes, sir," Zara replied, noting the diplomat's body turning a deep purple with alarm. After the transmission ended, First Officer Krell approached her. "Orders, Captain." Zara took a deep breath. "Plot a course beyond the boundary. Minimum speed. Passive sensors only. Let's see what's got everyone so worked up." The Distant Horizon moved cautiously past the line of warning beacons. For 2 days, they found nothing unusual, just empty star systems and lifeless planets. Then, on the 3rd day, they detected it. "Captain, I'm picking up signals from the 3rd planet in this system," Neela reported, her voice rising with excitement. "Artificial structures, power signatures. It's inhabited. Or it was." Trill adjusted his instruments. "Most readings indicate minimal activity, maintenance levels only. But the technology is remarkably advanced, possibly level 9 or 10. Zara felt a chill run through her scales. The Confederation itself had only achieved technology level 7 after 10,000 years of development. "Life signs?" she asked quietly. Trill's 4 eyes widened in sequence. Billions of them. But, strange, they appear to be in some kind of suspended animation. The entire planet is covered with stasis fields. The main screen showed an image of a blue-green world, its surface dotted with the geometric patterns of cities. It was beautiful, pristine, and completely silent. I found something in their orbital satellites, Neela said. They're still functioning, broadcasting a message on repeat. It's in a language I don't recognize, but the translation matrix is working on it. Minutes later, the message appeared on screen, and the bridge crew fell silent as they read. This is Earth, homeworld of humanity. Our species has entered the great sleep while our world heals. We will awaken when the time is right. This system is protected by automated defenses. Do not attempt to interfere with the sleeping population. Final warning. Humanity is not to be disturbed. The consequences will be severe. Zara stared at the planet below, now understanding exactly what the ancient beacons had been warning about. "Contact High Commander Drax," she said quietly. "Tell him we found the sleeping giants." For the next week, the crew of the distant horizon observed Earth from a safe distance, careful to avoid triggering the automated defense systems. The stasis technology was unlike anything in their database, not just preserving humans, but keeping them in a state of perfect suspension. No aging, no degradation. Trill explained, showing Zara the latest readings. They could remain like this for another 10,000 years if necessary. "And you're certain no one is awake?" she asked. "Just maintenance systems and defense protocols," Neela confirmed. "From what we can tell, they initiated this great sleep voluntarily. Their historical records indicate severe environmental damage and resource depletion. They chose to sleep while automated systems repaired their planet." Engineer Vor looked up from his console. "Captain, I've identified what appears to be a primary control facility near the northern continent. If we wanted to learn more about their awakening protocols, that would be the place." Zara hesitated. High Commander Drax had ordered them to gather information, but caution was warranted. "We'll send a drone," she decided. "No direct intervention." The small drone descended through Earth's atmosphere, guided remotely by Vor. It landed near a massive structure built into the side of a mountain, its entrance sealed by doors of unknown material. "Minimal security measures," Vor reported. "It's as if they never expected anyone to find them." The drone approached the entrance, its sensors scanning the strange symbols on the doors. Suddenly, a beam of light shot out from an unseen source, scanning the drone. "It's trying to identify us," Trill warned. "Should we abort?" Before Zara could answer, the doors silently slid open. "It's inviting us in," Neela wondered. The drone entered a vast hall filled with dormant control stations. At the center stood a holographic projector that activated as the drone approached. A human figure appeared, a woman wearing what looked like a military uniform. "Greetings," the hologram said, its voice translated by the drone systems. "This is an automated response to non-human contact. If you are receiving this message, you have discovered Earth during the Great Sleep." The crew watched in stunned silence as the hologram continued. "Humanity entered voluntary stasis 1,247 years ago. Our world was dying, and we chose to sleep while it healed rather than fight wars over dwindling resources. Awakening protocols are automated and tied to planetary conditions. We estimate total restoration within the next 800 years. The hologram's expression became stern. "Warning. Any attempt to interfere with sleeping humans will trigger immediate defensive measures. This includes forced awakening of any stasis chamber. Our defense systems remain fully operational and will respond with maximum force to any threat." First Officer Krell frowned. "They're completely helpless. If someone wanted to take advantage." "That's why they have the defenses," Zara reminded him. "And the warnings across the sector." The hologram continued. "If your intentions are peaceful, we welcome future contact when humanity awakens. A small diplomatic team can be roused to speak with you if necessary. To request this option, Approach Terminal 7 and identify your species. Zara directed the drone to retreat. We've seen enough. High Commander Drax needs this information before we take any further steps. That night, after transmitting their findings to Confederation Command, Zara couldn't sleep. The discovery troubled her deeply. Something about the warnings, about the sleeping humans, stirred an ancient instinct for caution. 2 days later, a Confederation science vessel arrived, followed by 3 more. High Commander Drax himself came aboard the distant horizon to review their findings. Remarkable, he said, examining the scans of human technology. Their stasis fields alone could revolutionize our medical capabilities. And these defense systems, primitive but effective. Sir, Zara ventured, the warnings were explicit. Disturbing the humans could have severe consequences. High Commander Drax dismissed her concerns with a wave of his crystalline appendage. Captain Vex, think of the opportunities. A civilization with technology far beyond our own, currently in a helpless state. We can study their achievements and adapt them for our own purposes before they ever awaken. The Tekkan ambassador, who had insisted on accompanying the expedition, pulsed with alarmed colors. Commander, my people have ancient stories about a violent species that once dominated this region of space. If these are the same beings, we would be wise to heed the warnings. Your concerns are noted, Ambassador, Drax replied coldly. But the Confederation Council has already voted. We will establish a research outpost to study human technology. Captain Vex, you will assist in the initial setup. Zara tried one more time. Sir, with all due respect, we should establish a quarantine until they awaken naturally. That will be all, Captain, Drax interrupted. You are dismissed from this discussion. 1 month later, the first research outpost was established in what had once been called North America, near one of the major stasis facilities. Teams of scientists worked around the clock to understand human technology without triggering any alarms. Their power generation alone could revolutionize our fleet, Chief Scientist Mox said, his tentacles twitching with excitement as he studied the data. And these stasis fields, the applications are endless. In the main laboratory, a team of scientists had managed to access one of the smaller human facilities. Inside, they found rows upon rows of stasis pods, each containing a sleeping human. Look at this one, said a scientist, pointing to a pod with different markings. The uniform suggests military, and these readings indicate higher brain activity than the others. Can we open just this one? Asked another. Study a specimen up close. The security chief hesitated. Our orders are clear. No awakening. We wouldn't wake it, the scientist assured him. Just a quick examination, and then return it to stasis. The system has manual overrides. They should have listened to the warnings. As they attempted to override the pod's controls, an alarm began to sound, quiet at first, then building in intensity. Red lights flashed throughout the facility. What's happening? Demanded the expedition leader, rushing into the lab. The security chief's face had gone pale. They've triggered something. The pod. It's beginning an awakening sequence. Inside the stasis pod, Commander Elena Reyes's eyes snapped open for the first time in 1,247 years. And she was not happy about it. The reckoning. Commander Elena Reyes felt the cold burn of oxygen filling her lungs for the first time in over a millennium. Her mind cleared quickly, military training kicking in despite centuries of sleep. The stasis wake-up protocols fed information directly into her brain, updating her on the situation. Intruders, alien life forms, unauthorized access to human facilities. She kept her eyes shut, listening to the panicked voices around her. Shut it down. Someone was shouting. Put it back to sleep. I can't. Another voice responded. The system is locked. It's activating other pods in this section. Elena opened her eyes. 5 strange creatures stood around her pod, their appearances unlike anything in human records. Behind them, she could see more stasis pods lighting up, their status indicators changing from blue to green. The aliens froze when they saw her looking at them. Elena sat up slowly, her muscles working perfectly despite the long sleep. The pod had maintained her physical condition, preventing any atrophy. She was combat ready. "Identify yourselves," she said, her voice rough from disuse. The aliens looked at each other, clearly not expecting her to speak. One stepped forward, holding up some kind of device. "We are researchers from the Galactic Confederation," the alien said, the device translating its words. "We mean no harm." Elena noticed the alien was wearing what appeared to be a weapon on its hip. She also noticed the stasis pods around her were indeed activating. Her team, Special Operations Unit 12, was waking up. "You have violated Earth Defense Directive 1," Elena said calmly, remembering the protocols established before the Great Sleep. "This is considered an act of war." The aliens seemed confused. "We are merely studying your technology. We didn't intend to wake you." Lieutenant James Rodriguez was the next to awaken, his pod across from Elena's. His eyes met hers, and a silent communication passed between them. He had been the unit's tactical specialist. "How many of your kind are on Earth?" Elena asked. "Approximately 500 researchers and security personnel," the alien replied. "Please, we can explain everything." Elena nodded to James, who immediately accessed his pod's interface panel. His fingers moved quickly across the controls. "What is he doing?" one of the aliens demanded. "Following protocol," Elena replied simply. Throughout the facility, more pods began to activate, not just their unit now, but other military personnel housed in this complex. And James wasn't stopping there. "Security breach detected at Site 17, he announced. "Awakening sequences initiating at all military installations globally. Emergency protocol thunderclap has been activated." The aliens backed away, finally understanding the severity of their mistake. "You need to stop this," their leader said. "We can reach an agreement. The Confederation will compensate your people." Elena stepped out of her pod, standing tall. There is no negotiation for planetary invasion. By now, the rest of Unit 12 was awake. 15 elite soldiers trained for worst-case scenarios. Sergeant Anna Diaz moved to secure the aliens' weapons while Corporal Michael Chen accessed the facility's defense systems. "Commander," Michael called out, "I have access to the global network. Defense grid is online. Orbital weapons are tracking all alien vessels." The alien leader's translation device couldn't hide the panic in its voice. "Please, there are innocent researchers here. We were told your people were defenseless." "That was your first mistake," Elena said. "Now tell me where your main base is located." Before the alien could answer, James looked up from his console. "Commander, I'm getting reports from other facilities. General Thomas Santos has awakened at Central Command. He's implementing full thunderclap protocols." Elena nodded. "Secure these aliens. We're moving out." Within hours, all 32 military installations around the globe had awakened their personnel. The automated defense systems, dormant but fully maintained for centuries, came online under human control. In orbit, the alien ships attempted to flee, but Earth's defense grid locked onto them, disabling their engines with precise energy bursts. In the North American Command Center, General Thomas Santos reviewed the situation as reports flooded in. Thousands of military personnel were now awake, with millions more in the process of awakening. "Begin civilian awakening protocols," he ordered. "Priority 1 personnel first. Government, infrastructure, medical." He looked at the global map showing the alien intrusion points. "And prepare for immediate counteroffensive. We're taking back our planet." High Commander Drax stared at the security feeds in horror. What had begun as a simple research mission was rapidly becoming a nightmare. All across North America, human military forces were emerging from their stasis facilities, fully armed and organized. "We need reinforcements," he told the Confederation Council over the emergency channel. "They're waking up faster than we anticipated." "The Council has already dispatched the Third Fleet," came the response. They'll arrive in 4 days. Until then, evacuate all non-essential personnel to the orbital platforms. Drax looked out the window of the command center. In the distance, he could see columns of smoke rising from the research outposts that had already been overrun. "I don't think we have 4 days," he said quietly. At the North American Military Command, Major General Marcus Chen studied the tactical display. His strike teams had already reclaimed 5 major cities and 12 research outposts. The aliens had advanced technology, but they weren't warriors. They hadn't expected resistance, and they certainly hadn't prepared for a coordinated military response. "Status report," General Santos demanded, entering the command center. "Sir, we've secured 60% of North American territory," Marcus replied. "Similar progress in Europe and Asia. The alien forces are retreating to fortified positions around their landing sites." General Santos nodded. "And our awakening progress. 30 million military personnel are now active worldwide. Civilian awakening has begun in secured zones, prioritizing infrastructure specialists and medical personnel." "What about their ships in orbit?" "Contained but not neutralized. Our orbital defense grid has them pinned down, but they're calling for reinforcements." General Santos' expression hardened. "Then we need to be ready when those reinforcements arrive. Activate the Deep Space Monitoring Network and wake up Chief Strategist Dr. Eliza Wright. We'll need her expertise." In the secure bunker beneath what had once been the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Eliza Wright reviewed the data on the alien Galactic Confederation. Military intelligence had been collecting information from captured aliens and their databases. "They've never faced anything like us," she told the assembled officers. "Their species evolved through cooperation, not conflict. Their technology is impressive, but their tactical thinking is limited." She pulled up a star chart showing the approaching alien fleet. "They're sending warships, but they're predictable. They'll emerge from faster-than-light travel here, at this navigation point. That's where we'll hit them." "With what?" someone asked. "Our fleet is still in storage." Eliza smiled. "Not all of it. High above Earth, hidden in the shadow of the moon, the orbital defense platform Artemis activated for the first time in millennia. It was one of 8 such platforms, each housing a battery of long-range energy weapons designed specifically for space combat. The humans had built them before the Great Sleep, positioning them strategically throughout the solar system. On the platform, the newly awakened crew worked quickly to bring all systems online. Commander Diana Wu checked the targeting systems one last time. "Weapons hot, ready on your command," she reported to Earth Command. 4 days later, the Confederation's 3rd Fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel exactly where Dr. Wright had predicted. 30 warships, the pride of the Confederation's Navy, prepared to rescue their research teams and teach the humans a lesson in humility. They never had a chance. The moment they appeared, all 8 defense platforms opened fire simultaneously. Precisely targeted energy beams cut through the alien ship shields as if they weren't there. The human weapons were beyond anything the Confederation had encountered before, the product of a species that had evolved through constant warfare. In the Confederation flagship, High Commander Voss watched in disbelief as his fleet was systematically destroyed. "Impossible," he whispered. "They were supposed to be sleeping primitives." His communications officer turned to him, panic evident in all 6 of his eyes. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from Earth." On the screen, General Santos appeared, his expression stern. "This is Earth Defense Command to invading forces. Your fleet has been neutralized. Surrender immediately or face complete destruction." High Commander Voss looked at the tactical display showing the remains of his once proud fleet. Out of 30 ships, only 9 remained intact. "The Council will not accept this," he said defiantly. "The Council," General Santos replied coldly, "should have respected the warnings." 2 weeks after the first human awakening, Earth had changed dramatically. Cities hummed with activity as millions of civilians emerged from stasis each day. Advanced automated systems, maintained perfectly during the long sleep, helped manage the transition. In what had once been called Geneva, the Earth Unified Command established its headquarters. Military and civilian leaders gathered to plan humanity's next steps. The immediate threat has been contained. General Santos reported to the newly formed Defense Council. All alien research bases have been captured, and the remaining ships in our orbit have surrendered. President Elizabeth Morgan, awakened just 1 week earlier from the government stasis facility, nodded grimly. And the prisoners? Over 3,000, including High Commander Drax. They've provided valuable intelligence about this galactic confederation. Dr. Eliza Wright stepped forward. Madam President, we've discovered something important. She activated a display showing ancient star charts. Humans didn't enter stasis because our world was dying. That was just what we told ourselves. Our ancestors detected alien civilizations centuries ago. The Great Sleep was a strategic decision. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this revelation. Are you saying our ancestors knew about aliens? President Morgan asked. Dr. Wright nodded. Not just knew about them, they studied them extensively. They realized humanity wasn't ready for contact. We were too aggressive, too divided. The Great Sleep served two purposes. It allowed Earth to heal environmentally, yes, but it also gave our automated systems time to advance our technology while we slept. Dr. Daniel Foster, chief of the Awakening Program, spoke next. This explains the accelerated awakening protocols we found. They weren't just for emergencies. They were designed to rapidly mobilize humanity when needed. President Morgan turned to Admiral James Harper, commander of Earth's fleet. What's the status of our space capabilities? The Admiral smiled slightly. Better than we thought. Hidden bases on Mars, Europa, and Titan have been maintaining our fleet. We have over 200 warships ready for deployment, with more being prepared daily. The President looked surprised. 200. How is that possible? The same way the defense platforms were ready, the Admiral explained. Automated systems have been building and upgrading our fleet for centuries, following plans laid out before the sleep. Our ancestors prepared for this moment. In the detention center beneath the headquarters, High Commander Drax sat in his cell, still struggling to understand how everything had gone so wrong. The door opened, and Dr. Wright entered with 2 guards. The Council will retaliate, Drax warned immediately. You've seen only a fraction of their power. Dr. Wright placed a tablet on the table. Actually, we've been going through your databases. The Council isn't as powerful as you believe. They've never faced a real war, just minor conflicts and police actions. Drax shook his head. You don't understand. There are hundreds of species in the Confederation, thousands of worlds, most of which have no military experience, Dr. Wright countered. Your own records show they rely primarily on intimidation and politics, not actual strength. She activated the tablet, showing Drax images of massive shipyards on Mars, hidden beneath the surface. While you were poking around our sleeping world, you missed what was happening elsewhere in our system. We've been preparing for centuries. On the other side of the solar system, the first wave of Earth's fleet emerged from hidden bases in the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, ships that had never seen battle but had been designed by an inherently warlike species with centuries of simulated combat testing. Admiral Harper stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiance, watching as his battle group formed up. 50 ships crewed by humanity's finest, freshly awakened, and eager to show the galaxy why the warnings had been posted. All ships report ready, Admiral, his executive officer reported. Harper nodded, thinking of the ancient warnings that had been ignored. Set course for the Proxima Centauri shipyard. It's time the Council learned why they should have let us sleep. The fleet accelerated toward the jump point, humanity's first step into a galaxy that had foolishly awakened them. In the detention center, Dr. Wright stood to leave but paused at the door. Your people asked why there were warnings about us throughout the galaxy. You should have wondered who put them there. Drax looked up, confusion on his face. We did, Dr. Wright said simply. Humans placed those warnings, knowing that someday someone would ignore them. And now we'll show your council exactly why. Empire of Ash. Chancellor Torath slammed his tentacle against the council table, sending ripples of shock through the assembled delegates from 100 different worlds. How is this possible? He demanded, his usually melodious voice distorted by rage. You told me they were primitive sleepers, easy to control. High Commander Voss, one of the few survivors from the Third Fleet disaster, stood with his crystalline head bowed in shame. The intelligence was wrong, Chancellor. Their technology far exceeds our estimates. They destroyed 21 of our ships in less than 4 minutes. The council chamber erupted in panicked voices. Representatives from hundreds of worlds spoke over each other, demanding action, protection, or immediate peace negotiations. Silence. Chancellor Xoreth shouted, his voice amplified by the chamber's acoustics. When quiet returned, he turned to his military advisors. What are our options? The Chief Defense Coordinator, a gray-skinned being from a heavy gravity world, stepped forward. We've mobilized the main defense fleet. 600 ships are moving to protect our core worlds. We've also sent warnings to all research outposts and colonies near human space. Will it be enough? Someone asked. Before anyone could answer, the chamber doors burst open. A communications officer rushed in, her skin pale with fear. Chancellor, we've lost contact with the Proxima Centauri shipyard. All communication has ceased. The council erupted again, this time in terror. At the Proxima Centauri shipyard, Major General Marcus Chen watched as the last of the alien defensive platforms went dark. His assault force had achieved complete surprise. The aliens had never expected humans to have jump-capable ships, much less the ability to launch a coordinated attack so quickly. All objectives secured, General, his second-in-command reported. Casualties minimal. The shipyard is ours. Marcus nodded, looking at the massive alien installation. The shipyard stretched for kilometers, with partially built vessels still held in construction cradles. It was the largest manufacturing center in this sector of space, capable of producing dozens of capital ships per year. Begin Phase 2, he ordered. I want our engineering teams downloading everything. Ship designs, navigation charts, weapon specifications, everything. As his troops secured the facility, Marcus received a transmission from Earth Command. Admiral Harper's face appeared on the screen. Status report, General. Shipyard secured, sir. Minimal resistance. They weren't prepared for us. The Admiral nodded. Excellent. Your next target is their communications hub in the Alpha Centauri system. The Defiance will rendezvous with your forces in 8 hours. Back on Earth, Dr. Eliza Wright sat in her laboratory surrounded by captured alien technology and historical records. As an expert in pre-sleep history, she had been awakened specifically to understand why the aliens had ignored the warnings. I found it, she told President Morgan during an emergency meeting. They knew. The Council knew about the warnings. She displayed ancient Council records recovered from captured ships. Look here, survey reports from over 2,000 years ago. They discovered our warning beacons back then and documented them. But 150 years ago, a new faction took control of the Council. They dismissed the warnings as superstition. President Morgan frowned. They knew the dangers and came anyway. Worse, Dr. Wright said. They knew we were here in stasis and saw it as an opportunity. Their plan was to study our technology, replicate it, and establish themselves as the dominant power before we ever woke up. The president's expression hardened. Then they deserve what's coming. Across Confederation space, panic spread as news of the human attacks reached distant worlds. The species that comprised the Galactic Confederation had lived in relative peace for millennia. Their conflicts were political, not military. They had forgotten what it meant to face an enemy evolved through constant warfare. The human fleet, now divided into strike groups, hit targets across Confederation space. Communications hubs, defensive installations, shipyards, all fell with frightening efficiency. The Confederation's defensive fleets, impressive in size, proved inadequate against human superior tactics and technology. On the bridge of the Defiance, Admiral Harper studied the tactical display showing their next target, the primary Confederation naval base at Rigel. "They're gathering their forces," his tactical officer reported. "Nearly 300 ships." Admiral Harper nodded, remembering Earth's history lessons about ancient naval battles. "They're making the same mistake Admiral Yamamoto made at Midway. They're concentrating their forces where they think we'll attack, leaving their command and communication structures vulnerable." He opened a channel to the other captains in his battle group. "Change of plans. We're bypassing Rigel. Set course for Talax Prime, the Council capital. It's time to end this." The Talax system glowed with the light of thousands of ships. The Confederation had gathered every available vessel to defend their capital world. They were arranged in precise formations, following textbook defensive patterns taught in their academies for generations. They never stood a chance. The human fleet didn't emerge where expected. Instead of using the main jump point, they appeared at multiple locations simultaneously, using jump technology more advanced than anything the Confederation possessed. Admiral Harper led the main assault group directly toward the capital planet, while supporting squadrons' targeted defensive platforms and communication arrays. On the Council capital world, Chancellor Xoreth watched in horror as the defensive fleet broke apart under the human assault. Their ships moved in unpredictable patterns, concentrating fire on key targets before scattering again. It wasn't just their technology that was superior. It was their thinking, their willingness to take risks no Confederation commander would consider. "Evacuate the Council chambers," he ordered. "Prepare my ship." But it was too late. Human forces had already secured the orbital platforms. There would be no escape. 3 hours later, Admiral Harper stood in the Grand Council chamber, surrounded by his officers and the captured Council leadership. The massive room, designed to impress with its size and opulence, now felt like a tomb for a dying empire. "You have destroyed centuries of peace," Chancellor Xoreth said bitterly. "The Confederation maintained order across 1,000 worlds." "You violated our sovereignty," Harper replied calmly. "You ignored clear warnings and invaded our world while we slept. Did you really expect no consequences?" Before the Chancellor could respond, the chamber doors opened. Admiral Sarah Torres entered, followed by her diplomatic team. In the month since awakening, she had been studying Confederation records, preparing for this moment. "Admiral Harper," she nodded. "I'll take it from here." Sarah approached the Council table, her expression serious but not unkind. "I am authorized by President Morgan to offer terms." The Chancellor's tentacles writhed in agitation. "Terms? You destroy our fleets, invade our capital, and now offer terms?" "Yes," Sarah said simply. "Because unlike you, we understand the value of peace, real peace, built on mutual respect, not dominance and exploitation." She activated a display showing a map of Confederation space with human-controlled territories clearly marked. "These sectors will now form a buffer zone between our civilizations. The Confederation will withdraw all military forces from these regions. All research outposts studying human technology will be dismantled, and you will return any information already gathered about our people." "And if we refuse?" the Chancellor asked. Sarah's expression didn't change. Then Admiral Harper continues his campaign. The room fell silent as the Council representatives looked at each other. They had no choice, and they knew it. 1 month later, Admiral Sarah Torres stood on the observation deck of the new human outpost at Alpha Centauri. Below her, construction ships were building Earth's first official colony in another star system. It was the beginning of humanity's expansion into the galaxy. Her communications officer approached. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. President Morgan is about to address the people." On billions of screens across Earth and the newly established colonies, President Elizabeth Morgan appeared. Behind her stood the leaders of humanity's unified government. "Citizens of Earth," she began, Today marks 3 months since we were awakened from the great sleep. In that time, we have secured our world, established control over our solar system, and made it clear to the galaxy that humanity is not to be trifled with. She paused, her expression softening slightly. But the purpose of the great sleep was never dominance. Our ancestors foresaw a time when humanity would need to be united, when our technology would need to advance, and when our planet would need to heal. They gave us the gift of time. The camera pulled back, showing a group of alien representatives standing to one side. Today, I am pleased to announce that 8 former Confederation worlds have requested alliance with Earth. They recognize our strength, yes, but also our commitment to justice. Together, we will forge a new order in this region of space, one based on respect and cooperation. In a detention facility near Geneva, Dr. Wright was conducting her final interview with High Commander Drax before his scheduled release. As part of the peace treaty, all military prisoners would be returned to the Confederation. "There's something I still don't understand," Drax said. "If your ancestors knew about alien life, why didn't they make contact? Why sleep instead?" Dr. Wright studied him for a moment. "Our historical records suggest they considered it. But humanity was still too fractured then, too prone to internal conflicts. They feared that contact with alien species might only worsen those divisions. So they chose to sleep until you were ready. Not just that, they chose to sleep until Earth was ready, until we had the technology and unity to meet the galaxy as equals, not as conquerors or the conquered." Drax's crystalline form shimmered with what might have been understanding. "And the warnings? Why warn others away instead of introducing yourselves?" "Because they knew what would happen if someone woke us prematurely," Dr. Wright said simply. "They knew that if disturbed, humanity would react exactly as we did, with overwhelming force. The warnings were as much to protect other species as they were to protect us." As Drax was led away, he turned back one last time. "You could have destroyed us completely. Why didn't you?" "Because the goal was never destruction, Commander. The goal was to ensure we would never be vulnerable again." On the bridge of the Defiance, Admiral Harper watched as the last of the human fleet returned from their final mission in Confederation space. Under the peace treaty, Earth had agreed to withdraw its forces from all but the designated buffer zones. "Strange, isn't it?" his executive officer commented. "We were supposed to sleep for another 800 years. Harper nodded. "The automated systems would have continued improving our technology, building our fleet. We would have awakened naturally when Earth was fully healed, perhaps even more powerful than we are now." "Do you think that would have been better?" The Admiral considered the question. "Maybe. But maybe not. Sometimes you don't get to choose when you wake up. Sometimes the universe decides for you." Captain Alina Reyes stood at the edge of what had once been the Confederation's largest shipyard, now firmly under human control. The facility stretched before her, already being repurposed to build Earth's expanding fleet. General Marcus Chen joined her, looking out over the activity below. "Thinking about what happens next?" he asked. Alina nodded. "We were supposed to be the Guardians, you know. Special Operations Unit 12. We were awakened first in any emergency scenario to assess the situation, determine the threat level. We were never supposed to start a war." "You didn't start it," Marcus reminded her. "They did, the moment they crossed the boundary." "I know, but sometimes I wonder if our ancestors expected this outcome. Did they know that by going to sleep, they were potentially setting up this very scenario?" Marcus was quiet for a moment. "The records Dr. Wright found suggest they considered it a possibility. That's why they built the defenses, why they positioned the warning beacons. They hoped for peace but prepared for war, the most human thing they could have done." Elena smiled slightly. "And now we're the most powerful force in this sector of space. Not bad for a species that was sound asleep 3 months ago." "The next few years will be crucial," Marcus said. "We've won the war, but building the peace will be harder." In the depths of space, at the edge of what was now recognized as human territory, a small ship approached one of the ancient warning beacons. It slowed, carefully maneuvering alongside the ancient device. Inside, Admiral Sarah Torres watched as her technicians worked. "Are you sure this is necessary?" she asked Dr. Wright, who stood beside her. "President Morgan thinks so," Dr. Wright replied. "And I agree. The old warnings served their purpose, but they were misunderstood or ignored. The new ones need to be clearer." The technicians finished their work, and the ship moved away. Behind it, the ancient beacon now glowed with renewed energy, broadcasting its message in 1,000 languages across the stars. "You are entering human space. We welcome peaceful contact, but be warned. Humanity is awake and vigilant. Respect our boundaries, and we will respect yours. The consequences of aggression will be swift and absolute. The stars themselves will burn before we allow ourselves to be vulnerable again." As their ship turned back toward Earth, Dr. Wright gazed out at the stars. "Do you think anyone will ignore the warnings this time?" Sarah considered the question. "Someone always does. But next time, we'll be ready from the start." Across the galaxy, news spread quickly about the species that had awakened from its long sleep to become a major power overnight. Some feared them, others sought alliance with them, but all respected them. The Confederation, once the undisputed power in this region of space, now found itself in decline. Its empire had turned to ash in a matter of months, all because they had broken the one rule that should never have been broken: never provoke humanity. In the heart of what had once been Confederation space, a new era was beginning. And high above Earth, the ancient warning beacons continued their silent vigil, their message now heeded by all who traveled the stars. "Let the sleeping giants lie.